Kino pavasaris. Kovo 18, balandžio 5 dienomis visoje Lietuvoje. Didysis partneris Ergo draudimo grupė. Informaciniai partneriai TV3, 15 min žmonės.
Mūsų karta pirmoji supratusi, kaip iš lėto kenkiame gamtai. Ir vienintelė, žinanti, kad dar yra laiko ją išsaugoti. Apsaugokime mūsų visų ateitį. Ergo.
Geriausius kino pavasario filmus parodys žiūrimiausia televizija TV3. Šeštadieniais 22:40.
Festivalis Kino pavasaris jūsų namuose. Visus filmus žiūrėkite Telia televizijoje jums patogiu metu. Telia. Įdomiau tik gyvenimas.
Visiškas 2021 metų atradimas. Labai skaniai susukta. Ragaučiau antrą kartą.
Labas vakaras, mėly Kino pavasario ir 15 minučių žiūrovai. Sveikinu su jumis iš Kino pavasario studijos, kur visai netrukus mes susitiksime su vienu turbūt tokio ypatingiausių Kino pavasario filmų Kino mirtis, mano tėvo, taip pat režisieriumi Daniu R. Aš tik tai noriu priminti, kad jūs galite užduoti klausimus. Tai padaryti galite Kino pavasario 15 minučių Facebook paskyroje. Tai jeigu juos užduosite, aš mielai juos perduosiu režisieriui ir tokia diskusija, man atrodo, bus šiek tiek įdomesnė. Tai labai skatinu tai daryti ir kviečiu Danių R. į mūsų studiją. Shalom, Dani. Welcome
Shalom.
to Kino Pavasaris, to Digital Vilnius Film Festival.
Hello, thank you, and thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor to be with you in this digital form.
It's a great pleasure to have you. Of course, it's not as good as it could have been, but anyway, I'm really grateful for your time and for tonight's talk. That I think that I think that this is a title that raises raises a lot of questions, maybe a little bit more than any other film. And I'm really happy that you're here with us. And I would really love you to start from the very beginning, from something that we see first when we open the film's profile, and this is a very provocative and strange and a title that raises a lot of questions. And it's also, of course, what comes to mind. It's the reference to Peter Greenaway when he said that the cinema is deaf, and I wonder if it has any connections or. Maybe you can just elaborate a little bit about the title of the film.
Yes, in a way, I gave the film this title because for me the journey of Asaf, the protagonist of the film, that actually this is the same journey that I made throughout the film, throughout the process of making the film, is trying to make the father alive throughout cinema. So in a way, it's also saying that as long as cinema is alive, so the father keep on living. The cinema is a machine that could make him breathe, that could let him be a part of this world. And the making of itself of the film that the father and the son make is a way for them to stop, to stop the time, to stop the clock, to freeze the time. So and you can say that this is the basic sense of cinema, since it's just invented to stop the time. So that's why I gave the film this title.
And this is actually the film that has so many layers. it mixes fact and fiction and also your autobiographical details, and that I think that it really requires some sort of I don't know, like introduction to the background of like how the film was born, and then maybe you could tell a little bit more about the genesis actually of the film, and how did the writing go, and how, like, you know, until the final version that we see.
So I started, as you can see that the protagonist of the film is doing. I started to write the script for my father when when I understand that his time is limited and he's about to die because of the cancer. After he told me that he got this long cancer, so I wrote a script for him, and I want him to play in this film, like we made films in the past, my father and I. So I wrote this film to him to be the hero of this journey film of the family that is running away from some kind of war with Iran. And I shot a couple of days with my father, with my mother, with my grandmother that was still also alive back then. And my father felt ill, you know, my father was already in pain. He didn't tell me until, you know, these days of shooting that he really in pain. He don't want me to know, but he was, because he want the film to be done. But after 2 days, he told me, well, look, I'm really in pain. I cannot do it anymore. So I stopped the shooting, obviously. And I had a camera that I bought this camera for the shooting. So I tried to shoot him because I want to do something with him. But he don't want me to shoot him because he don't want, I think now when actually, you know, he died before 5 years exactly in this day, in the 28th of March. And I think that he don't want me to see him in his weakness. So I shot a little bit, you know, my girlfriend in that time that became my wife, and we'd already divorced. And then he died. And because I want the film to be done, I also sent the script to the Israeli Film Fund. So I got money from them, and I said, okay, I have, you know, it's very hard, like in every place, to get money. I said, okay, I have a script, I have money, so let's make this film. So I just took some very, very known Israeli actor, you probably know him, Daniu R. And it was only a couple of weeks after my father passed away, and Daniu R. played, you know, with my mother. He's very, like, he's a comedian, so he just take my father clothes and go get in bed with my mother. And I was there, you know, in the monitor. It was the first scene. I said, what the fuck is happening here? I don't want, you know, this guy to be in bed with my mother. I want to make a film with my father. What is the reason? What is the purpose? Or what is going? So then I stopped. I stopped completely the process and rewrite the script from scratch. And then I wrote a film about a father and a son that tried to make a film but failed. And after 1 year, I shot this film, okay? And then I edited the film, but something was missing. I felt that, you know, I'm going around in circles, but there is no, in these circles, there is no center. The center is missing. And the center is the documentary footage that start all this journey of my father. So then I stop again and change editor, and I start working. I work with a great editor, with Guy Nemesh, that was the editor of Foxtrot, but I understand that I need another point of view. So I started to work with Nili Feller, that she's the editor of Ari Folman, Vals with Ashir, of Rantal, documentaries. If you know, of Nadav Lapid new film, she's a great editor that work with documentary and fiction, and together we try to make this puzzle of the documentary and fiction, try to tell the story. And you know, I walk here in my studio, you can still see all the cards, because it was just a puzzle. So we walk on the cards and try to understand how we can tell this story. And then again, we find something that is work and said, okay, now when it is working, we have to stop, and that this is the film.
Mhm. But you mentioned that going back 5 years ago, when you intended to shoot your film with casting only your family members, this is a rather unusual choice, and I wonder if you can actually speak about the very beginning, the choice to cast all your family members in this fictional script.
Yes, well, I feel that first, my family, my father made films. You know, I made short films with my father throughout. I was a film student, and he was like, I love to work with him. And also, you can relate it to cinema that I love. That actually, you know, the masters that I love, like Majid Majizi, like Ristami, like you can go back to neorealism, like Turkish cinema, like Romanian cinema. And when my father, by the way, on the couch is shouting about the Romanian cinema and about the Italian neorealism, it's because of that. Because we talk about. Actually, it's something that I never told anyone, but he was so furious because we saw together a Nightfall on Bucharest before. I tell him, you have to see this film. And, you know, he said, I don't understand why to see this film, this Romanian film. It was because, you know, I like one of them. You know, I like the film a lot, but my father felt it's just not the cinema that he wants to be part of, and he's not an actor. But I feel that I also in my new film and also in my other projects, I use non-actors because I feel that it's not non-actors. It's just to use reality and to when it unfolds, you know, to just look at the actors, not an actors but as human beings that have their stories. They give their story to the film.
I would like to ask you regarding the documentary parts of the film, because I can understand that also the fictional parts of the film, there are also some sort of reenactment of something that you probably experienced in your family, but the documentary parts, they really strike me, and I believe many viewers, with their intimacy and the openness. And this is not something that it's easy to share. And I would just like to ask you, like, how does it feel to open up, like, for such a wide audiences all around the world? The film has been premiered in Cannes, and just before we started the conversation, you mentioned something that it would have been weird to have this film, and also the red carpet, and after the glasses of champagne and the celebrations and so on and so on. But still, you choose to include very intimate scenes of your life and also of your story of with your dad to the film that is actually like a public creature that is later on going to be seen by many people.
So I think that throughout the process of making the film, it was also a kind of a grief process, or a journey for me to really understand or to digest that my father is passed away. So it was part of my process. And when I was editing the film, I was editing with people that are very close to me. So I didn't felt it back then. I felt it it's just like a big family. But I can relate to what you were asking, because when in the first time at the when it wasn't on Canon, you know, there are critics and so on, but it was so far away because of the COVID. So it's actually make more sense to me that I don't sit in any big cinema with tuxedo and people see my father die. And I don't know the people, so I understand that people are watching the film, but I don't really know them. But it was so strange when it was released only for 2 or 3 days in the Jerusalem Film Festival, because then people actually react to me. People call me, people wrote to me, and only then I felt I don't know if you should see the film. It was so strange because they wrote to me about my, you know, it's my father and my family, and it's me in the film, and suddenly I felt, you know, overexposed in a way. But still, I don't want to take it back, because I feel that it's, when you're making film, you have to tell the truth, and you have to open your heart. And I feel that not only if it's personal a story, also if you make I don't know, Odyssey 2001, so in a way it's personal, because you see the creator there, so you have to do it. It's part of the text that you have to pay to make your creation you know, real, because audience know when you don't say the truth to them. They somehow can feel it, so it's part of the deal with the audience.
And the movie is actually also like really ironical towards yourself as a filmmaker that has you know, aspirations that you sort of depict somehow, you know, I don't know, like with the incredible sense of irony, which is also, I think, like one of the strongest parts of the film. But then you're always behind the camera, and then we barely see you even in the documentary parts of the film. But then you had to choose the actors to play also you, and then also your father and the rest of the family members. What was the process of casting and actually like searching for you in I don't know, in actors?
It was a long process. It was a very long process, because first I need to find my father. So it's hard, because you know, I made the audition, and for the audition I took the scene on the couch when he was yelling at me. So I felt that, and then I took for the audition all the Israeli famous actors. So all of them came and said the same lines of my father. It was bizarre, and I didn't find anyone. Not because they are not good actors, because they are brilliant actors in Israel, but I didn't find a specific tone that I was searching for. And then I was thinking about Marek Rosenbaum, that he's one of Israel's great and biggest producers, and you can say, you know, one of the Israeli father figures of cinema for me personally also. That I know him, I know him for years because we work together. And he told me it's a big mistake, don't think of me. But I try and make him audition, and I feel that I made the audition. I feel that he just have all the thing together, because he have a big heart, but also he was very strong and a little bit can be a little bit also nasty from the outside, you know, a little bit violent from the outside. And and in a way I feel that he's much more soft than my own father in the film. So it's strange, because you know, he considered to be a very strong man, but is softer than my father. And after I pick him, I look for his son. So and Ronnie Kuban, the actor, is not an actor also. He's a journalist in Israel, and he is a good friend of mine. And he has a similar story with his father. And we talk about, you know, this film. And for half a joke, I told him, maybe you will make the audition. And it was such a good audition because he was not playing at all. He was just being himself. And then I made a match for him and Marek Rosenbaum. And, I look at the camera and said, okay, that's a father and a son. They also look a bit alike. They have this thing, like big bears and small bear. So I think it's so nice to see them, and they're good. So then I just took it. And then again with the actor that played the mother, again, the same process, all the Israeli actress. And then I took my mother. My mother is an engineer, she's not related at all. And it's work, because she didn't play. For her, it was there just a reenactment. It was a very strong process for her because she really feel that, because he also look a little bit like my father, Marek. So she really could be with her husband again and talk to him.
In one of the most touching scenes is the scene where I don't remember the name of the wife of Asaf in the film, but Noah Köhler, she's playing that character, and then when she tells a little bit of pretensia that she's got only a very small role of in the film, that she's not really satisfied. And then again, I try to think about your own personal relationship with all these people in real life, and then how complex and how actually probably, I don't know, interesting was the reactions of people around you when you were actually making the film. How did they all react, and whether you had any issues with making their lives somehow present in the film script?
So, it's not really it's not really my life. I really I took in some scenes it's like reenactment, mostly with the father and my mother and my father. But in other scenes, there are, especially with the father and the son, with Asaf and with Yoel, it's like I felt it's those are scenes that I want to. That actually I want to. There are moments that I want to be with my father, but I could not, because, like I told you, my father don't want me to see him like this. And he don't want me, and he's also in the film. We talk on the phone, and he told me, don't come today, don't come tomorrow. He don't want anyone to see him in the last days. So, for example, the scene with when they both imagine the scene with the prime minister. Mm-hmm. So that was something that it's like I wish that I could do with my father. And Noah's monologue, so I wrote a monologue because I said, okay, what? Back then I was working so hard on the film, so I asked myself what my own wife could told me if she would really in this kind of make me a trial. But actually, I came to all of the X-rays of my son. I should have put it in the end of the titles, the own director is really did show up on time, because but it's all mixed up, and because of it's all mixed up with so many levels, we shot in my mother's real house, so it's like
that is one of the probably the most touching monologues that I've heard in the cinema. And
thank you.
You've mentioned also one of the most memorable scenes in the film. That's when Asaf and Yoel rehearse the scene with the prime minister, which is in the fictional film, and that touches the subject, the very, very common subject of Israeli cinema. Obviously, the critique for the current right-wing politics. And but then you do it in such a funny and ironical way that it's that is sort of, I don't know, making it different from the rest of the films that we used to see. And And I wonder how you, as an actually newcomer in the future cinema, in future films, like this is your debut film, but like how do you feel as a filmmaker in Israel about the freedom to criticize the society, but also the politics, and I don't know, like maybe some sort of if you feel like that this has been a tradition of Israeli cinema, then you have to somehow like you feel the need to follow the tradition in a way.
In a way, I feel that this scene is actually, if you can say critic, it's a critic about not the right wing, but mostly for the left wing or the Israeli culture. Because, you know, what you see in this film is not a real fight against reality in cinema. He sees a dead, actually a dying person and his son just at their home making, you know, making some scenery, but that ended up on the carpet that no one will see. It's not even a film, you know, it's just imagination. And so it's actually, for me, it's more about the, how do you say it in English, the impotentia, you know, the impotent of the Israeli left struggle. And also maybe critical about, because in the last years there were some Israeli cinemas that actually said we will change reality, we will critique the right wing, but it's I feel, you know, I don't really believe that some of them, you know, mostly in the documentary activistic genre, so they do change reality. But I feel that when you make a film that is when you're glanced through the European kind of festival world, so you don't really want to change reality. You just want to make film for European viewer or audience. So it's something else. So I don't see myself as part of this critique, as part of this wave of Israeli films that critique reality in this kind of way.
We don't have much time left, but there's another topic I wanted to touch is the actual montage process, because I believe that it must have been incredibly difficult and complex when it came, because there was so many different materials, and then how it was possible to sort of put it all together and make it work so amazingly. Can you tell a little bit more about it?
Yes. So in the beginning we were just working with the cards, and then we make some narrative that we were thinking it is working, you know, mathematically, but when we put it on the computer, we understand that it just not work at all, and because so we were rethinking about the process and try to just play with the material like music, you know, think, okay, and maybe this scene will work after this scene, when maybe we just play, because we understand that we need to think about the film editing as more musical editing and not narrative editing. So when we felt, you know, we made some kind of right structure, we were inviting people to see the film and then try to feel in their eyes how the film is working, and change like this. But it's you know, we understand very, very, very fast that we cannot edit this film by our mind, but it's more in kind of a intuitivity way.
I see. And so you've made a film about, you've made a very honest and open film about your life, your story. And I know that the situation in Israel with the COVID is going a little bit better, and then you're allowed to move on with your probably future projects. Can you tell a little bit more about it?
Yes, I will make a film next year, I hope, about it's called The Vanishing Soldier, and it's about a soldier that escaped a kind of a war, but not really like big war, but a regular day-to-day situation in the occupied territories, and try to return back to Tel Aviv. But the army think that he's actually kidnapped. So he finds himself like in Tel Aviv, but as the kidnapped soldier. So it's more like a comic, dramatic, Buster Keaton kind of a escape film.
It looks incredibly interesting, and I wish, Dani, that with this film you will come to Vilnius, and then you will be present and be able to, and I hope that we'll be able to make this Q&A once again in the cinema with your new film.
I wish to.
So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And I wish you good luck with your future film.
Thank you, and good luck with the festival, the other films.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
אקשן, אזעקה. לא. אמא, זה קצת דרמטי מדי. רואים שאת לא ישנה, אישונים שלך זזים.
מה לעשות, אסף, ככה הם.
נעשה עוד טק עכשיו, והפעם רק תפתחי את העיניים, לא צריך יותר.
אנחנו חייבים לברוח.
די דייטשן?
האיראנים, פרסים.
אני מבינה.
האיראנים. אנחנו עכשיו מתקיפים את האיראנים.
לא יפלו פה טילים, ואם יהיה משהו, אנחנו נרד למקלט, אתה מבין?
תעצרו רגע, שנייה. לא מתחבר, זה מהיר מדי. צריך משהו יותר עדין. תחשוב, מישהו הולך בשקט, בגשם, לאט.
אתה שומע?
לא שומע כלום. מה קורה, אבא?
הכל בסדר.
יש לי רעיון לסצנה חדשה, מאוד יפה. זה קורה בסוף המסע.
אנשים באים לקולנוע כדי לראות שחקנים, לא את אבא שלך. ועוד באיזה סיפור דמיוני, אני לא יודע, טורקי רומני, שאין לו שום קשר אליי.
אבא! חכה! הימים עוברים, אתה לא מבין, הימים שלנו עוברים. ואני רוצה לצלם את זה, בשביל שיהיה לי חומר להחזיק אותו.
שום חומר לא יהיה לך, אתה מצלם איזה דיסקים דיגיטליים שבעוד שנתיים לא ייפתחו בכלל.
אתה מצליח כמו פנתר להשתחל מתוך הכדורים שלה.
ואז באים אלה שניים מהדלת ומתחילים לראות בי פח, 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 פח.
ואז אני מתמוטט
ומת.
זהו.